Hello and welcome to Crypto Invest TV. I'm your host, X8. Today we'll be joined by the Underdoge, and we're just going to go
Hey,
ahead and get right into it, which is the crypto crash that we've been seeing here. And it's been a pretty substantial dip throughout yesterday and today. So what do you think about it, Underdoge?
uh, well, honestly, I personally think um, Elon Musk made a rather, how would I say it, a rather professional choice, honestly. It must have been really hard after, obviously dumping, what was it, $1 billion worth of,
Yeah, I think it was about 1 billion, and then they pulled out what was it, about 10% not too long ago.
yeah,
Which, I mean, we all knew that in reality there was no way that they were just going to buy and hold forever. I mean, I don't understand why people really freaked out when they did sell 10%. It was, I mean, how is a company going to invest in something, but then they never do any kind of actual trading with it? They just make the one buy. That's not really, you know, a company kind of thing to do. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, I personally just feel like he made a pretty smart decision there. For one, obviously, we all know if anybody pays attention to Tesla and SpaceX that they're all about future energy and harnessing a better energy than fracking and harming our Earth, right? So in that aspect, when we look at Bitcoin and we see it's designed for mining, we understand that it accelerates a high revenue for electricity, right? So driving that electricity is driving the environment so much harder. And I honestly am not upset with Elon's decision moving forward with denying Bitcoin for Tesla because of the fact of the matter. If he's trying to harness a better energy for our future, then why would he continue to allow people to make purchases on his future harnessed energy vehicles, etc., with something that harms our environment? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying. I think it was a really wise decision for Tesla and Elon to try and push forward to look at other avenues. Um, because as we've had this crash, and I mean we've seen it across the board, Bitcoin, I think pretty much the only one that I saw doing good was actually Cardano. um, but now we see here recently we've been having that huge explosion with Dogecoin after Elon made the tweet about they're working with the devs to improve the system and so on and so forth. And so you saw it jump from, what was it? It was like 39 cents or something like that. And now it's like back up to almost 50 cents.
Yeah, come on, it's Dogecoin. Come on, you're not gonna you're not gonna replace it for one. For two, if you are gonna replace it, it's gonna be XRP that replaces Dogecoin. But the fact of the matter that Elon even stepped up and said, "Hey, we're working with the devs to improve the system." I've been trying to tell people that you obviously did the interview with me, and we explained how I'm trying to go to school to be a dev, so
Right.
forth and so on. But beyond that scope, the thing is that you know I've been telling people that there are applications and web 3.0 dapps and decentralized dapps and apps that are coming out for Dogecoin to be powered by Dogecoin, solely by Dogecoin. It's not going to be Ethereum and you can swap it to Dogecoin to use either. It's just going to be Dogecoin solely. And I man, Elon is not doing us any harm by what he's doing, and what he's doing to the Doge army is actually putting them on a pedestal. A lot of people don't see that because they think that he made the wrong decision with the Bitcoin.
Right. And so, I mean, a lot of people, I mean, you saw it yesterday. Everyone was just kind of like, WTF, Elon, what are you doing? How could you do this to us? So on and so forth. There was a lot of outrage yesterday, right? I mean, a lot, really and honestly. I mean, I saw numerous, tweets and articles basically just bashing him. And I'm just like, at the end of the day, how are you going to be mad at someone for making a business choice for their company just because you are trying to ride off of something? Elon said way before that he was not a financial advisor. That you accepting his advice like it's godsend is that's your own decision. And so there's a lot of people that sat there and like they poured themselves into Bitcoin or they poured themselves into Dogecoin based on the fact that he made a tweet. And don't get me wrong, I mean, that's not to say that everything that Elon says you shouldn't listen to at all. But what I'm saying is that for instance, during Saturday Night Live, right before he went on to Saturday Night Live, what did he say? He said to basically be smart about your investments with crypto, right?
Yeah, that's the goal. Like, look, Elon's a very, very intelligent guy. All right, very, 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 very smart, analytical person, and so for anybody to sit there and deny, his intelligence is obviously a hater. Well, I'm just gonna say it is a hater. And they just don't like Elon because he's achieving greatness, and that's usually what happens when you reach the level that he has. But for the simple fact of the matter that like this guy has gone out of his way to help the crypto market excel in the most amazing way. Yeah, Bitcoin. All right, we all knew that Bitcoin was going to be the chief in command, right?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much held the dominance for quite some time, right? I mean there's kind of a reason why it is that like you see it at at the prices that you see it at, and that's not because it's necessarily that like Bitcoin is so much better than Dogecoin or Dogecoin is so much better than Bitcoin or Ethereum, or it's not necessarily about that. It's about who got the you know who got the most in the media attention. It's about how people as investors felt about it. How easy was it to get Bitcoin? How easy was it to get Dogecoin? How easy was it to get any of the cryptos back when they first came out? And then it's basically about which cryptocurrency kind of stayed the most on top of trying to forward their development. And so, I mean, when Dogecoin came out, I mean, the basis around Bitcoin, like the fundamentals, were already there. So when Dogecoin was created and it was based off of that code and everything, and then not necessarily a lot had been done with it. That doesn't mean that like it was a bad coin because you have to see like what it's built off of. And I'm not saying that Bitcoin doesn't have its issues or that Dogecoin doesn't have its issues, because at this point, I mean, to say that a cryptocurrency doesn't have some kind of issue, I mean, if you can name one cryptocurrency out there that is absolute perfection, then please tell me which one it is that has everything nailed down in every capacity. And then you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and all right, so like in that light, in that retrospect, um, I would have to say that there is one cryptocurrency I think that could be that one. And I mean there is a couple of more that could be close to perfection, and you just have to dig deep and find which ones. And we're not talking about any new projects. I'm talking about one that's old, like XRP. I'm talking about XRP. That is, when we look at it, that thing is secure and financially secured to a T. For one, transactions are fast. Doesn't cost you that much at all to send it or receive it or spend it. So it's like, and they have a real good thing going on with XRP. Granted, they're in court against the SEC and have been for however many months. If I think that Elon were to make a very good choice on picking one besides Dogecoin, I would have to nod my head to him if he chose XRP, because that is, besides Dogecoin, one of the cheapest coins to send and one of the fastest coins to send as well. So it's like, what do you do here? Granted, they say that Dogecoin isn't decentralized, which it is. It is. It's decentralized. Okay, a certain percentage of people own some, massive amounts of Dogecoin, right? Well, a certain percentage of those, and the majority of those, are exchanges. So when people say, "Oh, it's not decentralized," and they just spread FUD, but Dogecoin, I think, is probably one of the best cryptocurrencies that was ever created. Just
Right.
because it was created to mock Bitcoin in a sense, right? But it was also created in the retrospect of like Litecoin, fast transactions, and cheap transactions. But it was uncapped like Ethereum. Ethereum's uncapped, and you never hear nobody bad mouthing Ethereum except for the gas price.
Well,
And
I mean,
so
the gas prices are they're pretty high. I mean,
well, that's why
they're
that's
pretty
why
high.
That's why, yeah, exactly, and that's why they were going with uh, XRP or Solana or ADA or Raven or Dogecoin for sure. And
Right.
that's, I understand. I personally would like to see um Dogecoin be what Bitcoin couldn't be.
Right, and I think one of the great things about it is that since there is such a massive quantity of Dogecoin in comparison to Bitcoin, that's what makes it to where more people can own it without the price going absolutely insane. Like for instance, if Dogecoin went from a penny to $1,000 right now, right? That would mean that for one, there had to be a lot of money that went into it, and then for two, that means that there would have had to been like a much smaller amount of Dogecoin to be bought, right? And
Yep.
so I think that's what makes that big difference is that if it had the same kind of number like Bitcoin does, then it would end up becoming more of just like a commodity coin. Like, hey, I own like 52 Dogecoin, because Dogecoin is so expensive. It's kind of more of like you would say it's almost like a way for the rich to kind of flaunt their wealth to each other, right? Or to flaunt their diversity in investment. Hey, not only am I invested in real estate and stocks um, and other things, but now I'm involved in cryptocurrency. I have X amount of Bitcoin, and so what ends up happening is I think that's kind of that's what ended up with happening with Bitcoin. I just don't think that what is it? I think the total supply of there was what was it like 25 million.
Yeah, some of that nature.
Yeah, so I just don't think that that's just a high enough number. I think Bitcoin actually could have been a better cryptocurrency if it had had more than just that really finite amount. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it made the price of Bitcoin, absolutely parabolic. And so for the people that were there in the very beginning and bought it at, pennies on the dollar, who maintained their wallets and then was actually able to use it later on and so on. Like the people that were actually, because, there's been a lot of Bitcoin that's also been lost, right? Like we heard the story about that one guy that owned like 150 million Bitcoin or something like that on his hard drive. But then like he got a new PC and he kept the hard drive, of course, but then like one day when he was cleaning his house, he accidentally threw it away. And so like he tried to like petition the city to let him go into the dump to try and find it, and like all this, that, and another. So it's just like, imagine if that guy right now had his his 150 million, or not 150 million, 150,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
What do you think would be happening with Bitcoin right now?
Well, it depends. That guy probably would have skimmed some profits for sure. Like, man, you got 150,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah, it was some astronomical number.
Yeah, well, the total supply was 21 million, and so I really, and the fact is that I think that that's what made Bitcoin so popular, is the fact that it's kind of a scarce in a sense. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to being 37 billion or 348 trillion tokens created, there was only 21 million. Now, that doesn't equal to nowhere near the amount of people that are on the face of the earth, right? So
Right. I mean,
not
plain and simple, we already
everybody.
know that we got more than that.
Right. And not everybody on the face of the earth, though, can own a Bitcoin. Only a certain percentage of the people on the earth, because there's only 21 million to be put into supply. Right.
Yeah, so
And
there's no way that all individuals could own at least one.
exactly. And that, my friend, right there is the reason I feel that Dogecoin will be the thing that Bitcoin could never be. Because of the fact of the matter is, people say Dogecoin doesn't have a utility. And so when I sit there and I think about it, and I'm like, I don't know exactly what I get what they're trying to say, obviously, from my background right now, as it doesn't serve a utility. Okay. I kind of understand why they would say that. It's just because it doesn't have like its own project, and like you know what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah,
doesn't.
but here let me ask you this: since projects are so important for how useful a coin can be, or any kind of currency, what was the last project that we used with U.S. dollars that actually related to U.S. dollars?
Got me stumped, man.
Yeah, so I mean,
Got me stumped.
to make a complaint, oh well, they're not doing this or they're not doing that. What's the money in your wallet doing? I mean, it doesn't do anything except give you a segue, like it gives you the ability to say, here, I'm going to give you this, and then I'm going to take that, and then we're going to go our separate ways, and you're going to use that to go and take other stuff that you want, and you're going to give them that. All right,
Well,
so if we're doing all this buying and selling, with paper money, I mean, to say that Dogecoin isn't really useful for anything, if you were to take Dogecoin and then take the U.S. dollar and flip them, right? Um, and Dogecoin just was being used like the U.S. dollar, would anyone be making a complaint about what's Dogecoin's utility?
no, not at all. And that is exactly what I was getting ready to say, is that they cry, "Oh, Dogecoin doesn't have a utility." Yes, it does. You know what its utility is? It is a everyday normal currency. That's what its utility was supposed to be from the get-go. It was supposed to be a currency that you can use in everyday life. Like, obviously, before the monetary system came in, we were in a barter system, right? You trade fur, you get whatever you want, or whatever. So you trade fur, you get a sack of potatoes. Okay. Now, Dogecoin obviously is not something. Well, they create them now, but and those are not. They don't really serve like a real monetary value. But the coins that you can collect that have the Doge on them, but they don't. Dogecoin isn't like something you can put in your hand and then turn around and spend. It's something that you can actually send through a blockchain, which that's pretty sweet to me. It's a computer puzzle algorithm you can send through the blockchain, right? And that's how your transactions get validated, is by the people who are mining the Dogecoin, because they are the validators, right? The validators, they're the ones that validate transactions. My point here is that Dogecoin is an everyday currency. That's why it has 5 billion max supply every year. Is so that way, you can hold some, use it to buy all your stuff. Turn around, buy more. It's meant to be a currency. Now, the American paper dollar is going to go to nothing here very soon, obviously, because they put an infinite supply on how much they're going to print up. They're never going to stop. So, what's the difference? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like the whole minting factor, right? So people have a lot of complaints about, oh, like, there's no cap on Dogecoin, and I mean, for the most part, the whole thing with that has gone away for the most part, just because people realize that that was kind of just it was an obsolete argument, right?
That was a reach and pull, like, oh, I'm reaching out in left field, trying to pull it back to home base kind of argument. Like, no, stop.
Yeah, because as we grow as a civilization, right? So let's start to think of ourselves not as a singular planet species, but a multi-planet species, just because that's where we're going to go. It's not a matter of if anymore, it's a matter of when. So as we expand from one planet to another, and then those planets become populated, do you really think that using like paper form of money across the galaxy is really going to be the easiest way to go about it? No, it's not.
No, no.
So
Hey, listen to this, right? All right, let's take your example for example, right? And let's dig into that. You got American dollars, right? And you want to get on a rocket ship and go to Mars? What? Unless they give you $1 trillion a year as an income, have fun with that. It's going to take like 2, 3 years just to get there to Mars,
right, and that's the big problem about it, is that I think when it comes to cryptocurrencies on top of that, um, let's say we started to colonize over on Mars, right? So how are we gonna go about this? Because we're gonna need to create a after we actually like start to colonize it, there's gonna have to be a bartering system of some kind. And so with that, what what do you think would be the best idea for a bartering system? Let's build a machine that's going to print off stuff, and we're going to use more resources on this planet just because it's new, and so we have plenty. Which, mind you, obviously trying to make some paper form of money on a different planet, I'm sure that's going to be fun if we haven't fully terraformed it yet or anything like that. So you run into those type of issues. So using something that can be built digitally and then used digitally is realistically the best way to go. Because I mean, if you think about it, we're already going to have computers when we're colonizing. We're already going to have all these things, all these systems, and we're already going to have Wi-Fi and internet and things like that. And the reason why is because of how it all started, right? So they had to communicate with they had to go and communicate with home base, and they had to communicate with them. So there has to be a system for that, right? And so, like, for instance, we have satellites that are around Mars, so that way we can ping information to those satellites and then ping that information to our satellites and then send it to Earth. Because if we try to go straight from Earth straight to Mars, it just doesn't work as well, because of we it, you have to look at things in more of a like a 3D aspect, right?
it's
And
it's like
so
the
things are in the way if you try to do it that way.
it's like the electromagnetic fields that surround Mars as well
Well, it's not
interfering.
only that, but think about this. How am I going to sit there and send a message to Mars if the sun's in between us, right? In that moment, there needs to be a different way.
Yeah, no, I know, and that makes sense. But like I was saying though, let's take your example, and we're gonna dig into it a little more with what you just said, talking about what we need to do with coming up with solution as a bartering system. I feel that the bartering system is already set in place and ready to be expanded to the next level. Our bartering system is the cryptocurrency. And regardless of what people say, it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Blockchains is the future of the world. Blockchains have been going on for many, many years, but it was never computerized until recent times, right? Like you
Right.
all, okay, so blockchain, let's just look at it as a whole, right? A blockchain is just a network of um a network where you can send and receive data on without having to pass through a third party system. Okay. So it's peer to peer. It protects you from having to go from you to the bank, right? You just skip the bank and go right to the person with the product.
Right.
And so that's the great thing. But the best part about blockchains is that when you look at it from an outside perspective, everybody's been doing blockchain technology since we've been alive, documenting stuff. That's it. That's all. That's what the blockchain is intended for, is to secure information, right? So that it can never be erased. It's always going to be there. Transaction hash is always going to be there. So I feel that we have
It's
already.
definitely a great way to have credibility, right? So they talk about a lot of crime within crypto, right? But let's say there was proper regulations that didn't essentially crap upon what crypto is, and there was proper regulations that's actually fair. That means if somebody was to do something illegal, they got caught, and they say, "Oh, no, 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 I didn't do that," and they'd be like, "Okay, well, you know what? Let's go look at your blockchain transactions," and that's something that everyone
No,
can see.
that's unfortunately where we're heading on honest. In my honest opinion, I definitely. So you ever seen that movie Minority Report?
No, I honestly don't watch a lot of TV. Funny enough,
Well, you should definitely check that movie out. Tom Cruise is in it. Very good movie. Okay, kind of explains in a sense what we're talking about almost, right?
right?
So in Minority Report, it's in the future, and they all have like the futuristic technology where he can like rewind time and like solve crimes through like the blockchain,
Mm-hmm.
technically, in a sense. That's really realistically what it was. And I didn't really understand it until I started going through school, like what that movie ever even meant. And then when I thought about it, like, dang, dude, that was crazy. That movie was absolutely insane right there. Because it like exposed blockchain technology before anybody really even knew what blockchain technology was. But what I was saying just a previous moment ago about how it's been here forever is it's just a filing cabinet, man. That's what a blockchain is. It's just one digital filing cabinet to keep track of data on everything you purchase or sell or and yes, like you said, even if you wanted to keep track of like records of jail history or other things of that nature, those things could be implemented into the blockchain, and
Well,
people
I
could
wasn't
be
necessarily
pretty
meaning like
much
for.
by that.
Sorry, go on.
I was just saying, people could be pinned um, to who their identity is by that right there. Offer it, and you don't even need a serial code. You just put the person's information in, and if they get in trouble tomorrow, then they go in tomorrow and put that information on the blockchain, and it's there forever. Like that's the technology we're headed towards. So I feel that that's kind of why the market's been so freaking crazy, wild, twisty roller coaster ride the past couple weeks, is because they're trying to implement those things behind the closed doors, and they're just having too many arguments and not settling on anything. So it's just, it's like a pump and dump situation on the whole market.
Right. Well, I was meaning more along the lines of like if we were to say, you know, Billy went and robbed a bank, right? Or no, no, no. Billy went and bought some drugs and he used his Bitcoin, right? And he sold it to Jim, or he bought it from Jim. And so we see the transfer of, X percentage of Bitcoin from Billy's wallet to Jim's wallet at the precise time that a camera saw them making the trade, right? And
Yep.
then, like, the owner of the store who had it saw it. He called in, and then they come and they check it out, right? And then the guy Billy says, "Oh, no, 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 I didn't do anything like that. I don't know what you're talking about." And they say, "Well, one, we have video evidence, and then two, we've already looked and seen that your wallet transaction shows you sending X amount of dollars or Bitcoin to this wallet of the same individual that is in this video." And so it really just depends on how we use the technology and how we use it to benefit us as a whole. Because because just like anything, there's if it can easily be abused, right? And so
Oh,
that's one of the good things about trying to make sure that there's no one person in control of these systems, so that way it can't end up being abused.
and that's why these systems are absolutely awesome. Like, obviously we know the pseudonym, my bad, pseudonym, what was his name, Shibatoshi Nakamoto or something like that, who created, Bitcoin, right? But
Right.
nobody knows who he is, where he is, if he exists. We all know it wasn't one person, it was an entity. So it was a conglomerate of wealthy people who created this based off the NASA code SHA-56, and so it's like, what? Like, we know who did it, we know who created it, they implemented it on purpose because this is the way they wanted it to be. They wanted us to have a new form of money in the future so that way we could excel our humanity to be able to take that technology to the next evolution of humanity on a different planet like you were talking about earlier. So I do completely not, I'm not mad at Elon for making that choice, man. That was an excellent choice on his behalf. I'm not even gonna lie. He's like one of my role models. Been one of my role models for years, and I look up to a lot of the things he says. And so when people, you know, back to what we were talking about in the beginning, people just jump in off the hype without doing their own research, and then they get pissed off or mad because they're over here buying in at 43 cents and then it dips, or 56 cents or whatever, right? And then it dips to like 30 cents. So, oh, I thought this was going to go to the moon. It's like, it is, man, but it doesn't happen overnight. How long would it take for you to get from Earth to the moon? You know what I'm saying? So be realistic, people. Like, Dogecoin is definitely supreme in its nature, and it's going to be king. Now, all these other little altcoins that keep coming out, little dog coins, poodle and ass, and all this other stuff. Like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah, people should definitely be wary of all these new projects, especially when there's projects that talk about, like, once they one like a certain period within their launch, they're going to do like a 50% burn of all the coins and stuff like that. Essentially, all that is, when they're saying that, is they're just saying, like, hey, if you invest in us right now, we basically can promise you that the value will double on this date because we're going to do such a huge burn of the supply,
yeah,
or of
but
the
then you don't
circulating
know.
supply. So it's just like, there's no reason why I would want to invest in that. You know what I mean? Why would I want to put my money into something that you're literally trying, you're saying it right there. Hey, on this day, when we do this update to burn, that's essentially going to be the pump and dump day.
Yeah, exactly. Because what I mean, obviously, we can see where the transaction's going to take place for the burn, but you're not going to be able to tell who exactly is the owner of that wallet. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the best part about blockchains. Blockchains is meant for uh, anonymous transactions. Okay, so let's just get that out real fast. That is like one of the key ingredients to the elements of a blockchain is the anonymity of the transaction, right? So you don't know who you're dealing with on the other end. Regardless, you could be talking to them on Twitter, but how do you know that's really them? So I don't know, man. I just really feel that Dogecoin is gonna be supreme. Now, I'm not here to hate on any other coin, okay? Except for Sheeb. All right, that's
Right.
that's the that's the only coin that I will just straight up blatantly hate on. I'm not really a big supreme fan of Safe Moon due to some like super thing, super uncool things that happened on 420, aka Doge Day. But I have some Safe Moon that I won. I do like the tokenomics. I do like the coin. So I have like considered to not bash them because I see that they are actually trying to do something for real. And it seemed like a rug in the beginning, but as it goes on, they seem like they got their stuff together, and they're really trying to do something. So I'm not gonna hate on them so much, but I do feel that some of the things that they did to some of the people that I personally interact with on Twitter was very uncool. Like, an account that was a Safe Moon, according to, some sources that did their own due diligence on the account, it was a Safe Moon bot. But they ended up robbing some of my friends for 50 Dogecoin, like 100 Dogecoin, and so I felt that that was really uncool and it was
Well,
targeted. And
well, when it
so,
comes to to what you were talking about with the Safe Moon bot, I wouldn't say necessarily that you can guarantee that that bot was from Safe Moon.
right.
Um,
I mean,
just
it just after the fact of the matter, the account went on and they pretended to be Matt Wallace, right? You know
well,
who
see, then
Matt
there you
Wallace is.
go.
Every,
So it was
everybody knows.
somebody to begin with that was just
Well,
going out to
and
do it because there was something called Soul Starter, and they were blowing up everyone who is in the Solana Discord. They were sending direct messages to all of everyone on there saying how like, oh, we're like doing this giveaway or whatever, and Solana had to come out themselves and say, hey, this is not us, watch out for it. We would never DM you, unless there was some special case scenario, but you would be contacted in a different way.
yeah, but
But
what I'm saying is that these people were like, this profile was like copycat of Matt Wallace. And then as soon as, he went like pretended to be Matt Wallace, asking people for Dogecoin donations. And, it was like everything was the same to the T. Every bit
Oh
of
yeah,
information,
yeah.
all
There's
the
somebody
photos.
that did the same thing to Miley Cyrus during the whole SNL thing. Somebody had a verified Twitter account and had it as the Miley Cyrus account, even though it wasn't actually Miley Cyrus, and they ran off with like over $200,000
Yeah.
in Bitcoin and in Dogecoin. So it's just kind of one of those things where like you 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 got to be smart out there, everyone. You got to be smart.
Well,
If it
definitely.
seems like it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. I promise you. There is no you're gonna get rich tomorrow. It's not gonna
Well,
happen unless you put
well,
some kind of effort in.
well, the thing was, that profile switched over to a SafeMoon account after that, and it was like everything was just SafeMoon. So we went on the premise that it was somebody who was a heavy affiliate with SafeMoon, and I mean everybody that was in the chat group that I was in, was talking about it and was like, "Dang man, this seems like this was definitely a SafeMoon target." So like I said though, I've taken more of a professional like look on SafeMoon, so I'm not gonna diss them. They got a few good things going on. So like, but Sheeb and Ass and all these other ones. All right. So David Goldstein did like a YouTube live speaks or Twitter speaks or whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
And Speak Space or whatever that thing is called. And so he was doing like a live thing and called the ass community in to, you know, put themselves on the line and tell him who they were, right? They're actually
Right.
really cool community. So I give ass a pass, but like she,
You gonna give him
no,
an ass pass, huh?
yeah, give ass pass, give them an ass pass. But no, for real, like they seem like they're pretty legit. The community did, but like Sheeb, they were they're a pretty I don't know predatory uh community, man. They're like a bunch of freaking crypto bullies, and I don't really dig them. They dissed me because and kicked me out of their Telegram group because I wouldn't purchase their coins. I told them Dogecoin was the only Shiba Inu coin I'll ever invest in, and so I got kicked out of their Telegram and whatever. I think I told you that the other day, but then like the other day we realized I was telling you that uh Vitalik all that sheep, right? And so like I don't really get why they came out so predatory against Dogecoin and then decided to save 50% of their coins for the creator of Ethereum who,
So what I
was
from what
also
I
a
understand
holder
with
of
that,
Dogecoin.
from what I understand with that, it was essentially the developers basically just sent him that, right? They just sent him that coin, and like that's just what it was. Like I don't think I, I'm not going to go into the intricacies of it, but as far as I understand, essentially like they just gave it to him in hopes that he wouldn't do anything with it, and then use him as publicity for the coin. And then essentially once I guess once he had enough, he was just like, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and sell all of it, so that way I teach these people a lesson about about doing these kind of things. So a lot of people were really mad at him for selling it, but at the same time, I mean, you act like he went out of his way and bought it, but he didn't buy it. He wasn't making an investment. He was
But
he was it was a gift essentially. And so for people to be
the
mad at
thing
him to do with what he wanted with it, I don't really understand.
the thing is though is he didn't sell it. So they're mad at him for no reason. But why would he why would he keep that coin though? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so I pulled up an article just to go over it, right? And it says it's from decrypt.co and it was written by Jeff Benson. Um, and it says Dogecoin spinoff. This is the header. Dogecoin spinoff. Sheep tanks after Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin dumps tokens. Right.
Hmm.
So when I was like reading most of the articles, it seemed like he donated those tokens that they gave him to relief funds. So
Yeah,
it's
so
no,
he actually did. He actually basically were giving was he sent out that as donations, and it's not like he sold it and he kept the cash. Like, because if you look at it like that, then yeah, that would be a pretty crappy thing irregardless, right? You essentially at that point waited for it to for X amount of people to put their money in, and then you just took it all, and then that would be
that's
pretty
technically
down.
what happened.
You say what?
I said that's technically what happened. I mean, look,
Yeah,
the
but it
thing
was
is,
he didn't keep it for himself though. He went out and he was donating it. He was giving it out to causes. So I mean, if anything, you could look at it like this, right? You could see it as him trying to do good with something, even if it was not necessarily for the best intentions to begin with, right?
yep. And I couldn't say I couldn't agree with you anymore. Like, that's what I was trying to get at. Like when they came out and they call themselves the Dogecoin killer, and then you run around telling Dogecoin holders that their coin sucks or and they better sell out because Shiba Inu is the real people's crypto. Like my problem here is that your coin doesn't Shiba Inu. doesn't even have like a 2-year trail on it at all by any means whatsoever. And Dogecoin's been here for 8 years, at least 8 years. Okay. And you're going to sit here and try and tell me that you're the people's crypto when all you did was copycat Dogecoin with an anime Shiba Inu that looked like it was going to bite somebody's face off. You call yourself the Dogecoin killer. You're already promoting that you're predatory and that you're on your way to try to destroy something beautiful that was built, by Billy and Jackson. And like what why would you want to destroy it? Why wouldn't you want to, if you're going to imitate it, at least try to be like, reach out and say, hey, let's team up and be the Shiba Inus of the world? You know what I'm saying? And so I think Vitalik, with what he did, regardless if it went to donations or if he sold it, right? But we know it went to donations. But regardless, I feel that it was kind of like, hey, you kind of stepped in the wrong pile of poop type of deal. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, this should be your lesson to learn to grow with the community as opposed to come in and try to be the boss of the community in a sense. You feel me?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I mean, in a sense, that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Is that he might have been doing it to try and create a good outlet for a community that might have been more negative than positive towards either new people or people that weren't involved with the token that they were trying to promote, right?
Right.
Um, Other than that, I think we're all out about a time here. So
Well,
if you have any,
let me touch down on something real fast though. Real
yeah, that's
fast
what I was
before
gonna
we
say.
leave.
If you had any closing things to say, if there was any other subjects you wanted to bring up.
Well, nothing serious. Just the fact is, though, if these places that Vitalik had donated the sheep to, correct?
Hmm.
If they take this sheep and they decide to completely sell it and dump it off, then that essentially, my friend, I feel would be the complete end of that coin and that project.
So here's the
Uh,
thing about that is that some of the companies that did receive the donation have already come out and said that they are going to be holding on to the donation and that they would be releasing the donation periodically, but that they wouldn't just be selling it outright. That they would be having it as an investment for what it was donated to.
okay, and that makes sense. Which then at the same time, I mean, it kind of helps Sheeb grow, I guess. I'm not sure how that's gonna work for Sheeb, but
I think it will
you
depend
know,
on how it goes down the road, on how they decide to move forward with development.
see, and I haven't even looked into Sheeb at all. Honestly, I don't know if it's fast transactions, cheap or whatever. I don't really care because they weren't very welcoming. And like I love the Doge community because they're welcoming, and you can literally go into the Discord or even a Telegram that's a Dogecoin Telegram or something and ask questions, and someone will be so nice to you and ask. But you go into Sheeb and they'll be like, "Do your own research." So I just wanted to touch down and say that if these guys ended up just saying, hey, guess what? Even if they come out tomorrow and say, our times are tough and we really have to get rid of these coins, it's going to be bye bye to Sheeb, I feel. Unless
Yeah,
they get.
I mean, it could definitely depend on how it goes moving forward.
Yeah, I just don't see with Dogecoin being accepted to be, launching a satellite into space. I just don't see any other Shiba Inu coin taking his place.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't think we'll ever see the type of movement like we have with Dogecoin. But
No,
other than that, guys, we're all out of time. I would like to say thank you for coming and watching our show. Chris, do you have anything that you'd like to say to the viewers before we go?
um, just go ahead and slap some likes on here. Slap some likes on Crypto Invest TV on Twitter, and make sure you're following them for more updates. And you guys have a wonderful night. Bless you all.
All right, everyone, have a great one. We'll see you next time.